Then also a big thing, something that's delayed deals to massive extents, I mean months and months, 6 months plus, is when entrepreneurs don't understand term sheets and shareholding agreements and the mechanism that you actually ink a deal with. And we spend a lot of time kind of training entrepreneurs to learn these basic things. I mean, it's not easy, but you have to do it, and you have to know. And you need to want that to get the money fast. And a lot of the time, the thing that's holding the money from coming to you can sometimes be you. So it's something to think about.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ravi, would you?
So let me add kind of one or two more structured things. So I think one we touched earlier was, over the lifetime, you want to see at the end of maybe if this business needs 15 million funding in the lifetime, what is the founder left with at that stage? Is it enough for him? So that's one. The other issue we have in some cases is what I call as dead equity. So there are various reasons why you may have passive, meaning people whose incentives, they're just passive and just a lot of dead equity sitting, because of which, the other thing is we do usual reference check. So you could have a reference check on a supplier, buyer, all sides of it, and trying to figure out, does this product make sense? What's the chemistry of the team members? Some of those factors also become very important.
Okay, great. Manish, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, for technology companies, there is one risk point. Like sometimes we work in a certain organization, we develop a certain sort of an IP understanding working for that organization, we branch off, start a startup. Typically, a lot of knowledge is being used from there, but if there is an IP leakage scenario, then that is something which is very dangerous. We need to have that IP clean room structure as well, apart from the company structure.
Great, thank you. Samir, can I ask you, what can entrepreneurs, you've closed rounds, right? What can they do to facilitate rapid closing?
Okay. Firstly, you need to keep your books and your paperwork squeaky clean. Confidentiality agreements, employment agreements, a lot of stuff happens verbally during the initial period of the company, but one of you has to actually make sure everything gets documented, signed, and stuff like that, because that is one thing that always delays closing. And there is one guy who left you a year ago and he hasn't signed a confidentiality agreement, and you go chasing around trying to figure that out. But these are all actually later stage. If you look at the life cycle of raising a round, firstly, there's the hunting phase where you actually have meetings with lots of VCs. Then typically there is a second meeting that happens that usually is an indication of interest, further interest. And the third one is usually a partner meeting where you actually pitch to all the partners. That is when the deal gets approved. And typically after that, it is a matter of due diligence. It is making sure that everything is in order. Investors are not going to lose the money over some technicality. So that they're trying to make sure before the money comes to you. And that I would just make sure that as you go through the second and the partner meeting, you're already trying to collect all the paperwork, because otherwise it's going to delay.
Because generally people tend to leave it to the last minute to do all of those things. If you've done it right in the planning phase, then you've got all those dots and T's crossed, I guess. Ravi, would you add anything, or Kevin?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of what I was saying before. It's really knowing, understanding your terms, and one of the big things that we see is that sometimes entrepreneurs get hung up on maybe they're too busy running their business to learn everything properly, and we see some deals get closed faster when they're able to take a few sit downs with lawyers to actually understand what a 40-page shareholder agreement actually means, what all these little minute clauses, what implications they actually have, because many of them are pretty standard.
Okay, thanks. Manish?
In fact, just yesterday it happened, so it's very fresh in my mind. I was meeting an entrepreneur who's raising a second angel round per se. And I was just asking him about the different clauses in the term sheet, and he did not sort of understand what they mean. And it's very dangerous, right? Because this term sheet could become a barrier for him to raise a proper Series A round, depending upon how it is structured. So one thing that can make you faster, it's difficult to learn all the things in it, right? You will never be an expert in it. Running your business is your expertise. Please do hire a good lawyer while raising it's worth the investment. But you still need to have a basic understanding to interpret what lawyer is saying. But investing in a good lawyer is a good investment. That can help you sort of accelerate this process.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Sorry?
I just wanted to, Samir mentioned about, I'm just observing in the marketplace that the dilution that an Indian entrepreneur needs to undergo is lower than what we were subjected to. Roughly about 10 to 15 points. So, apple to apple, same business. Either way, you're able to scale up, you're able to get the funding, or you get to a point where you don't give up those many points as you probably do. I just like to come over.
Sure. I mean, again, I think in India, my personal experience, at least at the time when we were trying to raise money, was that the valuations were terrible. I mean, it's just not worth the time to actually start a company. So that was my experience. But I think things are changing because, as Kevin said, investors are not in the business to screw you, right? They are in the business to work with you to build something valuable. And if you're unhappy all the time saying I've been cheated, that's not going to work well for the investor either. So typically what I've seen is in the early stage rounds, it's almost like a marriage. I mean, both parties have to come together in a meaningful way where it makes sense for both parties. So I have seen more reasonable valuations being offered to the investors, to the entrepreneurs by the investors over the years.
Okay, I know we've got to finish up quickly, so Kevin, final words on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree, of course, with him echoing what I said. But it's, the valuation isn't really something that we want to really get you on. It's something that needs to reflect the fundamentals of the business, and the same thing with the equity stake. I guess in the US, a lot of the times people have higher valuations for companies than you get over here, and that's just how it is.
Okay, in that case, I think we've had a really good session. I think we've shared a lot of views on how to get it right and how to get this disconnect between the two right. I think there's been a lot of advice shared, and I'm sure many of you still have questions, but unfortunately we've run out. And over dinner this evening, you'll get an opportunity to ask them. So thank you very much. Can we please have a big round of applause? Thank you.
Because there are no seats on this side. And I think this is something that we've really been waiting for. Over to the actual launch of the Nurture initiative, Mr. Ajay Mehta. Ajay Bhagwan.
I wish I had Ajay Mehta's money, but so, ladies and gentlemen, what a wonderful session. Can we have a round of applause for And I must say, Vandana, you made my job very easy by asking the right questions, because it really helps me launch into what I'm going to be talking about. Because clearly, I'm going to get my... So, first of all, my name is actually Ajay Bhagwan, so I should clarify that. I'm a charter member for the TiE Pune chapter. One of the things I get very heavily involved in is mentoring for the members here. And I'm just giving you a background as to why we thought about this whole Nurture program, and it actually was brought out very clearly during the panel discussion and from the questions that the audience asked. So, I do have a small presentation on that, and I'll get in. I don't want to spend time on TiE and so on, because Sandeep already talked a lot about it. But during the mentoring sessions, we often come across the mentees, and you ask them what is the single most problem that you have, and more often than not, they would say money. And when you dig a little bit deeper, you actually find out, like we heard today, that it's not necessarily money. In fact, a lot of times the problem is somewhere else, and even if they needed the money, we've actually discovered that they really don't know what they're going to do with the money, or not necessarily ready for taking the money. and so on and so forth. On the other hand, I mean, we find that they may have a real problem with something that could be technology related, people related, business model related, not having the right customer or not having thought through the whole execution side, etc., etc. And then we come across many investors, many angel investors, VCs, and so on and so forth. And more often than not, they would come and say, "Arey yaar, koi company hai to batao, I need to invest my money in." And I can't find the right company to invest in. Now, clearly something is wrong with this picture, right? I mean, you would all agree that on one side you have people who say we want money and we don't get money. The other side we have people who say we have money, we don't know where to put the money in. And we thought, as the TiE Pune chapter, we should do something to bridge the gap. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what actually leads us to this launch of this program that we call Nurture program. Vishwas quite aptly came up with the title Nurture. We truly believe that it's about nurturing planning to do. Okay. So I think one of the things that was also brought up very clearly today is that there is much more to it than just going out, meeting the investors and raising the funds. There's a lot more preparation that one has to do. There's a lot more things that you need to know ahead of time before you start talking about diluting your equity and giving away something that's supposed to be the most expensive for you. But you still are doing it without really going through the whole exercise of knowing all about it. And that's what this is all about. So I'll just quickly go through what we are going to do. Essentially, as a program concept, this program is a sustained intervention by committed members of the TiE Pune chapter to make real difference to the entrepreneurs it works with. So what we are planning to do is to really have people from our team of charter members, and I'll name a few very soon, to work with the companies who have registered or who have been selected to be participating in the Nurture program. And the full program would run for a period of 6 months. And the idea is to identify deserving and willing entrepreneurs. And I'll stress these two words, deserving and willing. So clearly we don't want to work with somebody who's still working with some multinational and say, okay, I have this idea, can you come and mentor me, etc., etc. Because the guys, this person really doesn't have the skin in the game that we would like to see, the kind of commitment and passion that we would like to see. And then we think that these are entrepreneurs who can be taken to the next level through targeted workshops, and I'll come to that in a minute. And then personal coaching and mentoring using the TiE's globally successful framework. Okay, this is basically what we are going to be doing here, all right? So what is the approach taken? There's too much to read, but I'll just talk a little bit about it. The most important part is the high involvement mentoring. So we have a team of mentors. In fact, I'll name, we have Kiran Deshpande here, Ravi Nigam here. We also have Advait Kurlekar, Anil Paranspe, and quite a few of the charter members, very eminent charter members who have agreed to spend quality time with the companies which have been accepted under the Nurture initiative. So they will spend time with we'll actually do some arrangements as that maybe 1 or 2 mentors will be assigned to the teams, to the companies. They'll spend focused effort on looking at the issues faced, what exactly needs to be done, and essentially prepare those companies for going to the next level. And this is not just for very early stage startups, the people who want to take it from level A to level B. That's the goal. Okay. And then other than the 3-pronged approach included, I talked about